What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Another video means another dopamine high, excited to buy something that feels something, and today we're back at it with another video, and this is actually something a little bit special, something a little bit different, if you will. We're taking a look at something from the 2023 PulseCon event, and that is Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series Starkiller and Troopers 3-pack, and, you know, like I said, this was part of the 2023 PulseCon event. It was an exclusive there, but Hasbro has been merciful to us and has decided to release it on the Hasbro Pulse website for everyone else to enjoy it, and I am one of those people. So at any point during or after the video you realize you want to pick up this 3-pack for yourself, it's going to be on HasbroPulse.com for $110.99. And I'm just so happy that we finally have Starkiller or Galen, Marek, however you want to address them, in the 6-inch lineup for the Black Series. Unfortunately, it's behind a $110 paywall, and I do hope that one day Hasbro does make this figure more available by, you know, selling him individually for those who just want the figure and can part with the 2 Stormtroopers and all the other accessories included, because I know that, you know, to this day, the Force Unleashed has a huge cult following, hyping it up, keeping it alive, clearly seeing that we're getting, you know, Hasbro PulseCon, you know, exclusive figures and stuff like that. So we're doing something right, guys, but I do hope that they continue to give us more Force Unleashed figures, and I'm just happy that we finally have Starkiller in our hands. And with all that hyping up out of the way, let's get this review started. And then looking at the packaging, and it's this huge big beefy box with an amazing recreation of the game cover, and then on the side we have a brief description of what Starkiller and what the Force Unleashed is all about. And then going to the other side of the box, we have a nice, you know, little picture of everything that is included with this 3-pack, which is a lot, which is really nice to see. And then on the back we just have that recreation of the game cover once again, and then pulling off the sleeve we have the actual game cover this time, which still really cool, nice to see. And then turning it around we can see Starkiller with some stuff that is included, so very nice to see that he's looking good. And then on the sides we have the 2 Stormtroopers that are included, they're also looking good. And with that said, let's start breaking everything down. And I do understand that the main focus of this 3-pack is Starkiller. A lot of people are buying this 3-pack for Starkiller. Some people are treating this as not even a 3-pack and are just treating the Stormtroopers as accessories themselves, which I do understand where they are coming from. And I've even seen reviews on YouTube of this 3-pack where people just completely leave out the Stormtroopers and like don't even like go over them whatsoever. But because they are a part of the product, I feel like it's only fair that I do go over them. So if you don't want to see me talk about the Stormtroopers, because I understand that is a mold, that is a figure that we've seen 100 times over already at this point, you are able to easily skip that. I do utilize YouTube chapters, so if you don't want to see me cover the Stormtroopers, just use the chapters to skip over them. Otherwise, I will be covering them in this video for those who care, and because I believe it's only fair to cover all of the product. So after I'm done giving this little PSA, I'm just going to completely cover the Stormtrooper. I'm going to talk about the articulation, visual presentation, the accessory for the Stormtrooper, and then the rest of the video after that is just going to be all Starkiller for those who are just simply here for Starkiller. I just, like I said, wanted to give full representation of the product, even if you aren't here for the Stormtrooper. Then starting off with the head articulation, we can rotate the head 360 degrees, which is always really nice to see. And then we can have the figure look up and down a decent amount as well. We can have the figure bring his head back and forth a decent amount. And then, of course, with that being said, we can get some head tiltage there, which is nice to see. And with all that in play, we can have the figure look around and convey emotions in a variety of ways. So very nice to see that there. Very nice head articulation. Then taking a look at the arms, we can rotate the arms 360 degrees from up and over, and then bringing it out it can also be rotated 360 degrees, which is really nice to see. And then from there we can bring the arm up a decent amount, which means we can open up the arm a decent amount, and that's thanks to the adjustable shoulder plating, which I really like. I think that's a really nice improvement that we've had for a while now. Still love it though. And then going to the elbow, we can get a really nice elbow bend because the forearm can go above 90 degrees, which to me is what is a really good elbow bend. And then from the elbow and forearm we can rotate it 360 degrees independently from the tricep bicep area, which is nice. And then when it comes to the hands, it's obviously rotate 360 degrees and bend the wrist however you please, which is really nice to see. And overall, very happy with the arm articulation on this figure, no complaints whatsoever. Then looking at the torso articulation, we can rotate the torso 360 degrees, which is always nice to see. And then we can have our trooper move side to side a decent amount, so that's also good to see there. And then then we can actually have him do some back and forth movement. By no means is it a crunch, but it's still good. And then we can get that nice spherical rotation so he can move all around and have him pose in a variety of poses, which is nice to see, so no complaints. And then finally, taking a look at the leg, we can unfortunately not rotate the leg 360 degrees, but it's not the end of the world because we still get a good range of motion out of that part of the leg. You know, it's just the waist and thigh armor clashing with each other, so it's not the end of the world there. And then we can bring up the legs a really good amount, so you can have him sit on the ledge of a cliff or in a chair or whatever you want. And then we can get a decent split, like I want to say maybe half of a split. It's again still a decent range of motion for action poses and all that, so not the end of the world. And then we get a good knee bend for, you know, again, action poses, running poses, anything like that. So very nice to see that there. And then we can rotate the knee and the lower half of the leg independently from the upper half, so nice to see that. And then of course the foot, you can rotate 360 degrees and bend the ankle however you please. And overall, this is pretty standard leg articulation for the Black Series, so no complaints really. I do wish that some parts can move a little bit more, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. And the overall articulation I am very happy with, so good job, Hasbro. And for the Stormtrooper, there's only one accessory designated to them, and that is the classic E11 blaster that we've seen 1,000 times. And I don't need to really go in depth with anything. We've seen the sculpt before. The sculpt is good. The paint job is just a simple black paint job, nothing too crazy. And overall, just a well-rounded and well-executed accessory. And for this segment, I'm not going to go too in-depth because this is a mold that we've seen 100 times over and I have reviewed multiple times on the channel. And this is a mold that the majority of the Star Wars Black Series community asked for. So, of course, a bunch of people asking for this mold are going to have a keen eye on it and know what they like and dislike already. So I don't need to say things that y'all already know. But I think Hasbro did such a great job with the sculpt and line work on this figure. Again, we've already seen it before, but again, it is appreciated. And I just love the amount of detail they're able to get down on this figure. Even the line work on the undersuit, adding those wrinkles, brings this figure to life more than you would actually think. And then the colors, obviously they are the classic Stormtrooper colors, but again, they look so good with the black contrasting with the glossy white, and then the gray spread out throughout the armor, allowing for even smaller details to pop out. So very happy with the visual presentation of this figure because it is just a spot on recreation of the classic Stormtrooper design. And while making this video, there is one thing that I noticed, and I'm not docking points for the visual presentation of the Stormtrooper. Again, Hasbro did such an amazing job at making this figure. The mold, the sculpt, the paint job, everything about it is amazing. But when did Hasbro remove the holster off of the Stormtroopers? Or when did Disney? Because I was looking at some references and I didn't realize that in the newer live action iterations of the Stormtroopers, they removed the E11 holster, and because of that, so did Hasbro when making the newer molds for the Stormtroopers. I missed the holster. Please bring the holster back. It was a nice little thing, you know, you could still have your E11 on your Stormtrooper while they use different blasters, you know, the heavier, you know, two-handed DLT blasters and all that stuff. So what the fuck happened? And then this is the part of the video where I'd move on to the size comparisons and then the turntable segment, which is thoughts and discussion and, you know, leading to the outro and all that. But we are nowhere near the end of the video. This was just covering the Stormtrooper. Obviously, for those who have stuck around, thank you. I just believe all, you know, things included in, you know, the product should get some representation, even if it's something that we have seen before, hence these Stormtroopers. So if you haven't, you know, already seen a review on these Stormtroopers, you are now well educated. And if you have already, you know, just thank you for, you know, sticking around and hearing my wise words. So yeah, with that, let's move on to Starkiller. So starting off with the head articulation, we can have him rotate his head 360 degrees, which is always nice to see. And then we can have him look up and down a decent amount, which is also great to see on this figure. And then we can have him do a head tilt, which again, nice to see here. And overall, we can get that nice spherical range of motion. So overall, you can have him look around and convey emotions in a variety of ways with just his head already. So very nice to see that. Then looking at the arm articulation, we can rotate the arm 360 degrees from up and over And when we bring it to the middle here, we can spin it 360 degrees as well, so it's very nice to see that there. And then we can bring up the arm a decent amount, which means you can open up the arm a decent amount as well, so very nice to see that there. And then when it comes to the elbow bend, we can bring up the forearms past the 90-degree mark, which is really nice to see, so you know that is a good elbow bend right there. And then of course we can rotate the forearm and elbow independently from the upper half of the arm, so that's nice to see as well. And then when it comes to the hand, we can rotate that 360 degrees and bend the wrist however we please. And overall, very happy with the arm articulation on this figure. Pretty standard for Hasbro, but that is nothing bad at all, so very nice to see. And then for the torso, we can't get that 360 degree spin, but that is because there's a spring in the torso made for, I guess, kind of like a slashing kind of action where you can only bend it so far back, and then when you let go, he goes back in the position, and then you can have him go back and forth a decent amount. And then of course after that, we can get that nice spherical range of motion, so you can have him look around and put them in a variety of action poses, which is nice to see. And I think it's kind of cool they implemented like a play feature into the torso of the figure. And then finally, taking a look at the legs, we can rotate the legs 360 degrees, which is always really nice to see. And then we can achieve a full split, which is really awesome because that allows for a variety of action poses and just different stances that we can display our figure in. And then of course we can bring the legs up all the way. I will say there is some limitations due to the cloth around his waist, but it can still be achieved nonetheless with enough stubbornness and dedication. And then looking at the knee, we can get a really nice knee bend out of this figure, which allows for, again, more action poses, a lot more variety when it comes to wanting to display our figure, so very nice to see that there. And then of course we can rotate the lower half of the leg independently from the upper half for, again, more poses and stances and all that. And then of course with the foot, you can rotate 360 degrees and bend the ankle however you please. And I can say I am happy with the leg articulation on this figure, and I can also say I'm happy with the overall articulation throughout this entire figure. I don't have any complaints, even with if the torso can't spin 360 degrees, he still has a nice wide range of motion, so that's all that matters. So yeah, very happy with the articulation on this figure. And then starting off with the swappable body parts, we have 3 swappable heads included. We have the neutral one that we see come on the figure. We have this smirk devious kind of looking one in the middle. And then all the way on the right, we have him in absolute anger, shouting his head off. And these are all pretty good. I have no complaints with them whatsoever. They all look like Galen, Marek, and yeah, so good job Hasbro. And then there are swappable hands included as well, and here we have 6 shown, and there are 3 for each arm. Starting from left to right, we do have 2 hands that kind of gesture that he's using the force, and then in the middle we have 2 holding hands. One is a trigger finger, while the other one is for lightsabers, poles, or any other kind of handle. And then the last 2 are just kind of in a default passive kind of stance. The swappable hands don't stop there, because we have some hands with some force effects, and here we have Starkiller with the force push, and this looks really cool. Obviously you would place a figure at the other end of it, and it looks like he is pushing the figure back. And yeah, I thought it was really cool that they added this, because force push is a huge gameplay mechanic in the Force Unleashed game, so really cool on Hasbro's end to include this with the figure. And I'm very happy that Hasbro did include a stand for Starkiller, because the force push does have some awful weight distribution and causes him to fall over really easily, so I'm very happy that Hasbro gave us a stand to allow us to pose our figure with the force push if we wanted to, rather than having us try to figure out this problem for ourselves. So good job Hasbro for including a stand and not letting us suffer. And then for our second force effect with the swappable hands, and that is the Force Lightning, yet another pivotal game mechanic in the Force Unleashed, and it looks really good. Very happy with how it came out, and it doesn't affect Starkiller's weight distribution in the terms of his arms drooping down or just not being able to support the Force Lightning. Again, with the whole weight distribution of keeping him up, you do need the stand like with the force push, but again, Hasbro did think about that and give us a really nice stand to support that weight, so it's not really an issue at all. So very happy about that, and yeah, overall very happy with this accessories execution. And I've been mentioning this stand multiple times now, and it's a very nice stand. It's a big stand. It has 3 peg holes on it, so you can put multiple figures on there, and when you put Starkiller on this stand, he fits in nice and snug. The stand isn't going anywheres, and he's not going anywheres off the stand, so very happy with the quality of this stand. Some stands just figures fall right off, but this is not the case with this one. But a cool thing that Hasbro decided to include, you see these holes around the edge of the stand, and you're wondering what those are. You can actually put in these force blast effects all around the entire stand. There is a total of 3 included, and they look really cool, and it's just easy as just, you know, plugging the peg into the peg hole. So watch me as I do that while I voice over it. But yeah, no, I thought it was a really cool thing that they included. You know, it also really helps recreate the cover art of the game. I'm pretty sure that's what they were just going for, if you couldn't tell already, with the Force Lightning and the 2 Stormtroopers and all that. But yeah, I just think that it's really cool. They went the extra mile to not just, you know, include a stand, but also make it a decorative piece. So props to Hasbro for going that extra step and, you know, giving us this really cool exclusive, you know, 3-pack, because this is an exclusive and a deluxe figure that I will not bitch about the price of, because I think it is actually worth it. And yeah, there it is, and it looks awesome. And then here we have Starkiller with some of the Force effects on the stand, and again, looks really, really cool. And one thing I saw online was swap the Stormtrooper where Starkiller would be, and the blast effect looks even more impactful, which it does. So I thought that was very cool. And overall, again, Hasbro did such an amazing job with this stand, utilizing the most they could out of it, because fuck, they did. And for his weapon included, because he isn't already a weapon himself, we do of course have his lightsaber, and this looks really good. I won't have any reference in the bottom left corner because I couldn't find a proper one. But yeah, again, this is definitely his lightsaber. I played the entire game while recording this video, and I think they did such a great job at recreating it. I have no complaints whatsoever with its visual presentation. And then of course we get the lightsaber blades included, and we get 1 blue and 1 red one, because obviously in the game he switches from red to blue. And they obviously, I'm not going to go in depth about this, they look good. It's a simple lightsaber blade. And then also included are these swinging effects for the lightsaber, so it looks like the lightsaber is in motion, and again, it comes in red and blue. And I love the amount of variety and options that we are getting with this figure, because the more variety and options we get with a figure, I think the more we're getting for our money. And again, Hasbro is not missing at all with this deluxe pack, so very happy to see this. I'll say my only issue though with the lightsabers, it's a little loose in his hands. It wobbles, it wiggles around very easily, and at times it would fall out. In this clip it doesn't, but there are times where it has, and it's kind of frustrating to get him to pose sometimes with it in his hand. I wish they either made the grip on his hand a little tighter or made the lightsaber a little thicker. And one attention to detail they got done that I really liked are the amount of peg holes that you can mount his lightsaber on. So we have 1 on that side, and then on the other end we have a bunch on his belt. So in total there are 5 peg holes to position your lightsaber, and if you have any other lightsabers hanging around, you can put them on him as well. I don't really collect many Force users, weirdly enough. I'm more of a trooper collector, so I don't have all these lightsabers to put on my figure, but you get the point. You can put the lightsaber anywhere on your figure. It's all up to preference really, and I thought this was a really nice attention to detail they added for the figure. So again, thank you Hasbro for going the extra step and adding something like this, because I didn't even expect anything like this on the figure. So when it comes to the visual presentation of this figure, I think Hasbro knocked it out of the park, because there is so much to appreciate and adore about the visual presentation of this figure. Starkiller's design, I wouldn't say is too busy, but it is very, you know, complex in the regards of there are a lot of layers when it comes to how much clothing he wears in his outfits. This is obviously the default appearance, but even then the default appearance has a lot of layers, multiple belts, multiple cloths, and they're not all the same color, and Hasbro made that very apparent here. They got all these different shades of brown, black, and dark green for the layers, and you know, the sculpt work, all the different lines and curves and all the little, you know, bits of accessories, and you know, the wrinkles and folds, just they executed beautifully, and it really brings this figure to life. So I think Hasbro did such an amazing job at handling this character's visual presentation. And even on the metal bits up around his shoulders, it looks like it's been worn, it's been used, it looks like he's been around. And they even painted some blood on this figure, showing that he's been through battle, if you couldn't tell already. Now I don't know if there's any blood on the in-game model for this outfit, but I still think it was a neat addition nonetheless. And again, I think Hasbro did such a phenomenal job at the visual execution, and I can't praise them enough for how they handled this. So here is Starkiller next to one of the Stormtroopers included, and they are the same height. So let's put these two in scale with some other figures with some size comparisons. Starting off with NECA's Aliens Xenomorph Warrior, NECA's Jungle Hunter Predator, Jazz wears the World of Halo Infinite Master Chief, Jazz wears the Spartan Collection Halo 3 Master Chief, and finally we have McFarlane's The Doomslayer. here we are at the turntable segment of the video. This is pretty much where I go over what I like, dislike, pros, cons, strengths, weaknesses, stuff like that, give my general thoughts and opinions, and give y'all something to bounce off of. Go down in the comment section below and get a conversation started, and most likely I will reply to your comments because obviously I like talking about this stuff. And briefly touching up on the Stormtrooper, there's nothing to dislike about this figure at all. I have no issues. The figure looks and feels great, and the accessory, just like the figure itself, there's nothing that really makes it stick out from the rest. It is just the same as every other release prior, but that's not a bad thing. That just means that the figure and the accessory does its job how it is intended to. And yeah, so again, nothing bad about this figure, but also nothing about this figure makes it stick out from any other release using this mold prior, and the same goes for the accessory included. But me personally, I am happy that I just have 2 blank Stormtroopers now that I can use for photo fodder or anything like that. So moving things over to Starkiller, there's actually only one issue I do have with this figure, and it's not even a big one, and that is in regards to the lightsaber being a little too loose and wobbly when in his hands. So I just wish Hasbro would make the grip a little bit tighter for his hands, or make the lightsaber just a wee bit thicker so it fits in there nice and snug. But at the end of the day, if you can get it positioned right, it does fit. So I don't consider this a deal breaker or the end of the world. So that's just, you know, it's very good to have that just be the only issue with the figure. And then getting into the positives of this figure, and oh boy, where do I start? I guess I'll go simple with the articulation is great. He feels great. You can put him in a variety of poses and he will, you know, look amazing in your toyography or on your shelf or however you want to display him. So very happy with the feel of this figure. And then getting into the big thing, which is the amount of accessories. Oh my god, I feel so spoiled right now because I review a lot of NECA figures and those come with a lot of accessories and whatnot, and seeing that with a Black Series figure is phenomenal. I wish they would do that with more Black Series figures, but granted that would probably increase the price of said Black Series figures. But I am just so happy to see all these, you know, different accessories that allow for even more posing and more display options. I'm so happy with all the swappable heads, swappable hands, the, you know, different colored lightsaber blades, the force effects with the force lightning and the force push, and even the stand being a, you know, an effect in itself is great. And I'm just so happy to see Hasbro put all this thought and care into what accessories should be included, and, you know, the stand, you know, compensating for the weight distribution of the force push and the force lightning is phenomenal. So I just love the amount of accessories included, so very cool to see that there. And on top of this amazing articulation and an abundance of accessories, we have this beautiful visual presentation of Starkiller. I think they did such a great job at nailing down the different layers and levels of cloth and wrapping and all his belts that he wears. I think they did just phenomenal work with all the individual colors, really bringing this figure to life. So it brings me joy to say that this figure looks great, feels great, and comes with an amazing selection of accessories. I understand there are people out there who don't really want to spend the $110 and are willing to part with the 2 extra Stormtroopers and all the fancy accessories and just want their individual Starkiller with his lightsaber. And I do pray that one day some of y'all do get your independent Starkiller, because this is an amazing figure and it's definitely worth the money. So if you're on the fence about picking up this 3-pack, like you have the money but you don't know if you really want to spend it, I can't recommend this 3-pack enough. These figures look and feel great, and the accessory selection is amazing. It's such a fun time, you know, posing Starkiller, playing around. Everything felt great. None of the accessories felt loose or stiff or just wrong. I mean, the lightsaber was a little finicky, but after that, that was the only issue I had. So overall, a well-rounded, good feeling 3-pack with amazing figures, and just I can't recommend it enough. So if you do already have this 3-pack, please tell me down below, how do you feel about it? What do you like or dislike? Get that conversation started. And with all that said, that's pretty much all I can add. I can't recommend this 3-pack enough. It is definitely worth the money. Again, I do pray for those who just want an individual Starkiller, because this is an amazing figure and I don't want anyone to miss out on it just because it was $110. So again, can't recommend this enough. So if you did enjoy today's video, a like and subscription would be fucking phenomenal. And if you do want to comment, you don't have to, but if you do, it's very much appreciated. And I'll bounce off anything y'all have said in the comments section below, because I obviously love talking about this stuff. And if you want to see more content like this, there's plenty of it up on the channel. I do Star Wars stuff, obviously, Halo stuff, and I do NECA stuff predominantly in the Predator and Alien franchise. So if any of that does interest you, please, you're more than welcome to go check it out. And with all that being said, please have a nice day and stay hydrated. It's really important.